First exercise, a lying extension, sometimes called skull crushers. How I like to perform these, instead of having the arm perpendicular to the floor, I take them more of a 45 degree angle. That way, as I extend, straighten my arms back up, I have more tension on the triceps instead of keeping my arms resting directly over my chest. Another thing I like to do here is take the bar just behind my head as opposed to the forehead, as I find that hits more that lateral tricep. I go heavy on here, 4 sets, a couple of warm-ups, aiming for 12 down to about 8 being my lowest. So now my triceps are really warmed up, I can move on. Another heavy exercise, and for this one, I'm going to do behind the back machine presses. So let's go check it out. Exercise number 2, another mass builder favorite of mine. This can be performed a number of different ways. We have a dip machine here, although you can perform it on parallel bar dips, either putting a dip belt around you or using a dumbbell between the legs, or getting a bench behind you, performing bench dips. I like the dip machine because I can add more resistance to it, and you'll see my elbows are once again held in. I'm not allowing them to flare out. My wrists are pretty much aligned with the elbows, and my knuckles are pretty much pointing down like that. And as I raise the handle up, I'm trying not to allow the elbow to go higher than the shoulder. So in line with the shoulder is really my end point. You see early on in this workout, I'm only focusing on about 2/3 of the movement, heavier than normal, and that's because I want to focus more on the massive muscle where the tendon attaches around to the ulna, part of the forearm bone. So this is a good method if you want to work on the lower section of your forearm. Any exercise with tricep, just focusing on 1/3 or 2/3 of the movement down instead of full extension. Full extension is where typically you start to bring the mass of that belly muscle into play. So 1 set of those 2/3 reps, I lighten the weight, focus on full extension, pretty much locking out my arms so I can maximally contract that tricep, and then bringing it back up, elbow in line with my shoulder. 4 sets altogether, about 8 to 10 reps for the first one, and I'm trying to shoot for 10 to 12 reps, maintaining that same weight and just letting fatigue catch me up. Let's have a look at exercise number 3. Okay, 2 sets of those 1-arm overhead extension or behind the back extension. I failed pretty early on that one, mainly because of those first 2 exercises being quite heavy for me. So I'm going to incorporate a drop set on here. I've got my 30-pound dumbbell. As soon as I hit failure on this one, I'm going to drop right down to this 20, so about 50% less weight. Also, I'm going to alternate which arm I start on. First 2 sets, I'm starting on my right arm, and then start on my left arm this time. Arms are feeling fast on that one, but just a little spot for my free arm, just to raise it back up and then resist that weight back down. It still helps more than just dropping the weight down. Arms are shot, but they're feeling great. The main benefit of performing this 1-arm behind the back extension is that, look at my arm placement. Instead of it being kind of equal length to each other when I'm doing the lying extensions or the push downs, I've now got my arms swept out. That's really great for that medial head, which is more the underlying muscle. So also when doing the bicep pose like this, you're working on a little bit more shape and sweep to that tricep, so you can get kind of greater separation between the tricep muscle and the bicep. Triceps are bigger muscles, so you need to work it from a variety of different angles. That's why my tricep workouts typically include more exercises than just my bicep. I'm going to add a little bit more variation into this straight bar push down. Just like with the behind the back push down, I'm using a limited range of motion, so only about 2/3 of the movement, a full stretch in the triceps, and I'm only working down just before my forearm becomes parallel. So once again, this movement, which focuses more of the effort on this region of the tricep, once I hit failure, I'm going to drop down some of that weight, focus on that full extension where I can maximally contract and squeeze the triceps out the bottom. It's a great technique towards the end of the tricep workout, especially involving triceps, where I have that consistent level of tension on the arm throughout the entire range of motion. Finish up with the bar. The benefit of the bar is it keeps our palms face down. So we're working a different region of the tricep compared to when we now change our grip to a rope, so we have more of a neutral hand position like this, palms facing each other, and we spread the rope at the bottom, which really allows for a deep contraction in the arm. So it's a slight variation from that push down to a rope pull down, but you can still feel the difference in the tricep. Incredible pump in the triceps. You know you're nearing your limit when you start reaching your point of failure, you drop the weight down, you're taking about 1/3 of that weight off, and you pretty much instantly hit failure again. So really good sign that I've given my all during this tricep workout. One more exercise to show you next, a single arm reverse grip pull down, slight variation there, and then that's it for today's tricep workout. Love that one. You can see what I'm doing now. First of all, doing a reverse grip, one arm pull down. I find it works more that medial, which is sort of, there's 3 heads to the tricep. You got the lateral, you got the long head, and then the medial kind of sits below both of those. So it's a little bit easier to kind of identify and see, but those reverse pull downs I find really hit snap. And you'll notice at my wrist as well, I'm turning it inwards slightly. Just the same as when I train biceps, you'll often see me rotate my wrist outwards like that, kind of putting more of that inner bicep. The opposite applies to the tricep. As I push down, I'm going to rotate my wrist in, and you can see it just kind of pulls in a little bit more of that outer head of the tricep. So fairly lightweight here because I'm training one arm at a time and not both together, but nonetheless, full range of motion. I'm squeezing it at the bottom. You can see my arm is pretty much locked out, but all of that tension is in the tricep. So great tricep workout there. Several key exercises, and as you can see, lots of variations within just a few different exercises. So I can alternate these from time to time, so I'm constantly changing up my tricep workout without necessarily needing to add in new exercises every time. All right.